Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of the flagship sports podcast here on the Morgan Podcasting Network. This podcast is produced by James Thomas Jamriska. Our guy, Jimmy Jam, is sick this week. He will not be with us here, but we are still making him edit the podcast. So Jimmy never truly has a week off. So Jimmy is not here audio wise, but he is still putting all of the things together, making the audio line up, making the wavelengths come together, getting it out for you lovely people on Spotify. Joining me to continue to preview the NFL as we roll ever closer to the NFL season and get ready to pick games on this very podcast. It's our guy. He's joined us from North Carolina. He's joined us from Pittsburgh. But now, I'm not sure. Chris, did you ever join us from Pittsburgh? Did you ever actually join the podcast when you were in Pittsburgh?
Uh, I don't believe so, but let me just explain this. There's been a lot of podcasts and a lot of locales, so maybe Pennsylvania has shown up there someplace.
That's very true. He podcasts from all over the place. He's been all over the place. He's a Highlander. We love him. He's got takes you never thought of. Wait till you hear some of the stuff he's got to say about the NFC South. But the main reason you join us in the football season is our guy, the handicapper. He's crunching the numbers. He knows what Vegas is leaning to. He knows what he's leaning to because he breaks down the tape. He's got like 14 different screens there in Williams HQ. He knows how to look it up. He knows what bets to make, and he is nice enough to come here on the network and share it with all of us. Josh Williams, hello.
What's up, boys? If Jimmy is going to miss a division, this is the one to miss. NFC South is pretty putrid and boring, but we're going to try and spice it up here.
First off, I will say I'm offended. I don't like you taking shots like that at my guy Baker Mayfield, who is included in this division. You know how much I love my guy Baker. Wanted the Colts to get Baker a few years ago. Excited that the Colts didn't get Baker because now we have a Rich, but I still contend that when I wanted the Colts to get Baker Mayfield, he would have been better than any quarterback the Colts decided to play. So we'll move off of that and start with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Williams, we're talking about a team last year that surprised, okay? We had the comeback player of the year. They were in the playoffs. Their offensive coordinator became a head coach in the league. Things should be looking up in Tampa Bay, right?
We'll see. We'll see. Let's get to the over-unders right away. Atlanta is over 9.5, minus 135. Tampa Bay over 7.5, minus 150. New Orleans over 7.5, minus 120. And Carolina over 5.5, minus 115. Tampa, they lost cornerback Carlton Davis amongst others. There will be more pre-snap motion on the offense, which is good. They bring in a new coordinator from Kentucky. Bucks were 28th in pre-snap motion last year, so that should be a positive. Todd Bowles is still there. They're going to send up blitzes from all over. They did lose Shaq Barrett and Devin White to go along with Carlton Davis, so I expect the D to take a step back. And you're talking about Baker, your guy. He had 24 turnover worthy throws last year, but only 10 of those were picked off. So he was extremely lucky in that. In comparison, when we talk about Jalen Hurts, he had 15 turnover worthy throws last year. All 15 of those were picked off. So you have to think analytically that Baker's due for some regression in that category, while Jalen Hurts is due for some positive regression there. Baker also took 43 sacks. That's a ton. That should have stopped more drives from them, but the Bucks were freakishly good on third and fourth downs, and historically, that's tough to repeat from year to year. So I don't know. I think there's some regression coming to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers this year.
Chris, I mean, what I'm hearing here is that Williams fails to listen to me over all of these years, where I continue to explain to him that Baker Mayfield is not somebody that you can look on the stat sheet and say, this is a good quarterback. Baker Mayfield is not somebody you can look on, frankly, his height and weight and athletic ability and say that this guy is a quarterback. But Chris, come on. The guy's track record speaks for itself. He wins more games than he loses. He made the playoffs as a Cleveland Browns quarterback. He made the playoffs as a Tampa Bay Bucks quarterback. He played in the college national championship. The guy is a winner, is he not?
There's one thing you can definitely say about Baker Mayfield, and that guy is a competitor. You can like him or not, but you got to admit that when he's on the field, he is giving everything he has. Whether or not he always makes the right decisions, that could be up for debate. But yeah, he gets things done. All right. But let's be honest here. All right. This is the NFC South, where it is very conceivable that all four of these teams have a losing record, and we could see something like a Kyle Trask versus a Jack Plummer at the end of the year for the winner of this division.
Jack Plummer night. Shout out to the snake, Jake Plummer. Moved on and played a little bit of dodgeball after he got done with his NFL career. Love that guy. Love the snake. Williams. Tampa Bay won this division last year in basically the exact scenario that Chris was laying out. Do you see this division being any different this year of one team standing out? What do you think about the Falcons, who certainly made some splashes in the offseason?
Yeah, I think the Falcons are probably the favorites in this division. Are the prehistoric dinosaur is out, Arthur Smith, and in comes in Zach Robinson, a PFF coach. Night and day difference there. Last year, Arthur Smith used a three wide receiver set at the lowest rate in the league, 17%. Zach Robinson with the Rams, he used it 95% of the time. So there's going to be massive change in Atlanta. And when Cousins had his best year, it was under Kevin O'Connell. Kevin O'Connell came from this same Rams system that led to a lot of zone runs, a lot of long dropbacks, multiple stretch dropbacks, a lot of play action shots down the field. Um, so yeah, the Falcons were second in run block win rate, second in pass block win rate last year, and they returned all five starters from the offensive line. The offensive line is underrated. Um, yeah, and you guys want a non-football stat here. I'm talking about Arthur Blank, the owner from the Falcons. Shout out to him. He may not know how to hire a
Shout out to the
coach.
Home Depot, I think you mean. Shout out to the Home Depot.
He may not know how to hire a coach or draft a quarterback or whatever they're doing with the backup quarterback here. But my God, can he put an inexpensive food menu together? Listen to this. What you can get at Atlanta Falcons games for $20. Monster slice of pizza,
Let's
chicken
go.
tenders,
Let's go.
nachos, a
Yes.
hot dog, a
Okay.
pretzel, and a
Mhm.
pop for $20. Remember, when that stadium
What is that
first
called?
opened,
What is that called? Caloric intake overload? Is that what they call that? Is that what they call
It's
that?
called a deal, Rod.
called the deal exactly. Remember when that stadium first opened, he wanted to have a Masters type feel to it with the throwback prices at the concession stands. Arthur Blank, who knew? Man of the people. He's man of the people.
He's definitely a man of the people. I'm not sure that he's the man of winning football games. Chris, you talk an awful lot about organizational roles, right? Like vibes, feelings, like the way that organizations conduct themselves. Like there has to be some sort of repercussions to the wild ass quarterback room that the Atlanta Falcons have created for themselves, right? I mean, come on, you have to agree with me on this.
I think it's genius. I think it is a marketing spectacular. It's going to keep Atlanta relevant. It's going to keep people in the seats, and that's what Arthur Blank, a man of the people, as William so graciously said and called him. That's why he will keep selling out these Falcon games because it will be almost like a reality show.
You're right about that. Williams, listen, I let you in on this before we started recording, and I'll let the listeners in on it now. I have the sneaky feeling that we could see a scenario where Michael Penix Jr. starts more games for the Atlanta Falcons than Kirk Cousins. I don't know, I don't have any empirical evidence to back that up. I don't have an article I can cite. I certainly haven't been down there in Atlanta and checking out the Falcons practice. Maybe Chris can shout out to his guy, Matt Jackson. Maybe he can go by Atlanta Falcons practice and tell us what's going on down there. I haven't been, but I have a weird feeling that you move up in the draft to draft a guy after you sign an aging quarterback coming off of a injury to a high dollar contract, and then you don't play said rookie who also, by the way, is an old rookie. Okay. We're not talking about a 19, 21, 22-year-old guy who came out like when he was ready to come out as a junior after only playing 3 years. This dude transferred around, had his COVID year, all the above. So you got an old rookie, won't play him in the preseason, quarterback who's old and injured. I don't know. Williams, it smells to me. Do you think I'm crazy? You often think I'm crazy. Tell me what you think of this.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what the Falcons are doing. They need to play Penix in the regular. I get what you're saying, but I can't see that. Like on throws to wide receivers last year, Des Ritter was 34th in accuracy. Kirk Cousins was 5th. And like I said, the Falcons bring in Zach Robinson, who coached under McVay in LA. The Falcons faced the easiest schedule in the league this year. Arthur Smith ran it up the middle 160 times last year, creating a 27% success rate on those plays. Absolutely pathetic. 22% of Drake London's red zone targets have been deemed inaccurate in his career. First time an NFL team had only one wide receiver with over 30 targets since 2008. Let me repeat that. Arthur Smith, the first time an NFL team had only one wide receiver with over 30 targets since 2008. When wildly two guys did that, Braylon Edwards and Dwayne
Braylon
Bowe.
Edwards.
Yeah.
God, I haven't heard of Braylon Edwards' name in a long time. Shout out to Braylon. Go Michigan. Hail to the conquering hero.
Okay, we're going to
Hail.
stop that right here. I'll give you one better, though, Rod. I'm willing to bet that Kirk Cousins nor Michael Penix finish this season as a starting quarterback for the Atlanta Falcons. I believe we will see Taylor Heineke by week 14 or so because both the other two guys will be hurt.
God, you have always been the leader of the Taylor Heineke bandwagon. I don't know what kind of interactions you and Taylor had earlier on in your life, but you've always been number one captain for that dude.
Hey, he knows how to stay in the league, Rod.
That's true. Listen, keep getting them checks, as our guy Jalen Rose says all the time. Okay, Williams, fine. I get it. Okay. I am a decently intelligent football fan. Okay. You're giving me a top 10 pick in Kyle Pitts. You're giving me a top 10 pick in Drake London. You're giving me a top 10 pick in Bijan Robinson. You're giving me a offensive line that has spent a lot of high picks for the talent there. Okay. You're giving me a new offensive coordinator coming in. You're giving me a high price quarterback. I get all of it, but please tell me why I'm supposed to believe that a team with a group of players that has never proved it on the field is all of a sudden going to turn it around this year.
I mean, they have a ton of talent, and Arthur Smith is out of there. I think that's the biggest positive for this team.
You know he was going to go back to coaching.
He always does. He's just like Arthur Smith is probably the guy who takes it the hardest from Williams over the last couple of years. Like Arthur, thank God you and your family have a boatload of money because you take an awful lot of guff from our guy Josh Williams on this podcast.
Well, you mentioned Kyle Pitts. Since he entered the league, more than 16% of his targets have been deemed inaccurate or uncatchable. That's the second highest percentage in the league. He gets a massive upgrade in that category with Cousins, who is extremely accurate. Actually, Cousins was the second lowest inaccurate rate last year, and over the last 5 years, Cousins has the sixth lowest inaccuracy rate, fourth lowest when throwing to tight ends. And you add in what the Falcons did on defense just recently. They just traded for Matthew Judon from the Patriots, which is huge. And then they got Justin Simmons, safety, who I wanted the Colts
if the
to get.
Colts didn't want Justin Simmons, he's not any good. All right. If Chris Ballard didn't want him to play on his team, then you can bet your bottom dollar that dude is cooked. Good luck, Arthur Blank, in your orange Home Depot jumpsuit with Justin Simmons.
And if Kirk Cousins is this great of a quarterback, so you say, why didn't Minnesota want to keep him around to keep throwing these dimes to Justin Jefferson?
Yeah,
because of Josh Dobbs.
Yeah, they wanted to get younger. I mean, he is 36, and Atlanta needed a quarterback.
Yeah, see, exactly what Chris just made you do right there is go against the Falcons. When you talk about the Falcons and Kirk Cousins, you're like, whoa, everybody be excited. I hope you guys are at half mast because you got Kirk Cousins. But then when you ask Chris about the Vikings Kirk Cousins, you're like, oh, everybody better go ahead and not be hard anymore because this is Kirk Cousins
so
and he's terrible.
He's so old. He's so old. But for Atlanta, he's accurate. He's accurate in Atlanta. He's old in Minnesota.
Make you hard? Does Kirk Cousins make you hard or not? Williams, answer it right now for our fans.
I think Cousins is awesome, man.
All right, fine. Speaking of being hard or not hard, let's go to the dirty Sanchez of the whole division. All right, Mark Sanchez being the quarterback for the New Orleans Saints. It's not about the rusty trombone, okay? It's about the dirty Sanchez. And when he doesn't have the butt fumble, the guy is a decently accurate passer. But do the New Orleans Saints have any kind of talent around a just slightly above average quarterback. Mr. Williams, what's your outlook on the Saints?
You're talking about Derek Carr?
No, I thought Mark Sanchez was the quarterback of the Saints.
Mark Sanchez has not played football in so long.
He was just commentating the Saints game.
Oh, that's right. He is. He
If
is. He's
Mark
been a
Sanchez
commentator for
is-
years. My bad.
Yeah,
Listen,
if he-
Derek
if-
Carr, Mark Sanchez, David Carr. What's the difference?
Oh man. If he's playing for the Saints, I'm picking the Saints to finish dead last, man. No, Derek Carr's I mean, he's not much better. But
Wait a minute, though. The description I gave for Dirty Sanchez, is that not the same description for Mark Carr? What's his name? Mark Carr? David
Derek,
Carr?
that's what had
Derek
us
Carr?
confused for a second. We didn't know if you were meaning Mark Sanchez or just making fun of Derek Carr.
I thought you were talking about the Dirty Sanchez of the division, which is the Carolina Panthers. You threw me for a loop. For
No. Listen, we'll get to the Carolina Panthers soon. I got takes about the Panthers. I got people in North Carolina. Chris might have moved out of North Carolina, but I got people in North Carolina. I got takes about the Saints. The Saints? No, I don't have takes about the Saints. I have takes about the Panthers. You guys talk. I'm messed up.
So the Saints have the fourth worst net rest differential on the year. You know how important I think that stat is. They do get a new OC. Clint Kubiak comes in. He's Gary's son. He spent a year in San Francisco studying under Shanahan. And out of 45 qualified quarterbacks last year, Derek Carr threw with play action at the 44th highest rate. So Pete Carmichael did not do Derek Carr any favors. The Saints will face a bottom 3 schedule of opposing Ds, and more specifically, a bottom 5 schedule of passing defenses. They faced a pretty easy schedule last year too, so it's just the benefits of playing in the NFC South. They do add Chase Young on the D line, Willie Gay at linebacker. They draft Kool-Aid McKinstry at cornerback. That's an interesting name, but there's still huge questions on the offensive line.
Is that the name his mama gave him? Did his mama give him the name Kool-Aid?
Yeah, I'm gonna guess. Yeah.
You're gonna guess, yeah. I like it. Wait, let's come with the guess. Listen, Williams, you're not going to be able to relate to this, all right? But Chris, you might relate to this, all right? Do you ever get so locked in on a joke, Chris, that you're ready to deliver that like everything else be damned right? And so like I got in my head that I wanted to do the 40-year-old virgin part with the rusty trombone, right? I got that in my head for some reason. So then I just went down the road of it being Mark Sanchez. Williams, of course, never tries to make jokes, so he can't relate to this, but you can, right?
Yes, no, I have definitely thought of a joke in my head and just had it sitting in the chamber and then like released it at the wrong time or too soon or when it wasn't hitting right. Yeah, definitely know that feeling.
That's what I mean. I was just like, all I could think of was the guy who's just yelling at Steve Carell, right? It's not about the butthole pleasures or the rusty trombone. You know what I mean? Like, all I could think of was that guy. And so I thought Mark Sanchez was still in the league. I apologize. But fine. Again, the Saints have an easy schedule. The Saints have an easy schedule, as I just said. The Bucks have an easy schedule. The Falcons have an easy schedule. Guess what? They all have an easy schedule because they friggin' play the NFC South, all right? That's the reason they have an easy schedule. They have to play all the other terrible teams in the division twice. So what that means, all right, Williams, is fine. Carolina, disastrous season last year. Gave the pick to your Bears. Your Bears are excited to have Caleb Williams, all right? But do we possibly have the potential for the new coach bounce team to be the Carolina Panthers? Because we all know what kind of a bum Frank Reich is, right? And Dave Canales, who coached up Baker Mayfield last year, who you just completely trashed when we talked about the Buccaneers. He coached them up to a playoff victory last year. Not a playoff victory, but a playoff appearance. Now he's at Tampa Bay. Williams, come on. New coach bounce. Is it Carolina?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, they might improve by like 3 wins, but that's only
Damn
5
it, Chris.
wins.
He even no-sold me when I did a football take. I did a whole football take, not a joke in there. No nonsense out of me right there, just a football take, and he still no-sold me. Yeah, I don't know. Come on, Williams.
Yeah, since David Tepper took over in 2018, 0 winning seasons, 0 playoff appearances. The team has had a different quarterback.
Because he's too busy stopping at restaurants on the outskirts of town writing bad messages about him on the board. Like, come on, dude. If you're an owner of a football team and you're stopping to yell at a restaurateur for trashing you on his friggin' vision board, you got problems.
And throwing a drink on top of the hat, too. Yeah. But yeah.
We've all thrown drinks on hats. Listen, Chris did that just before we started recording tonight. That's not a thing.
they've had a different quarterback lead them in passing yards each of those years. Cam, Kyle Allen, Teddy Bridgewater, Darnold, Baker, and Bryce Young. So
God, Teddy B. Didn't we all love Teddy B? Like, honestly, you could have convinced me that Teddy B was going to be something, and it just never really worked out for our
It's
guy,
going to be
Teddy B.
Bryce
Love.
Young again, though, so that streak's going to end. So I think that's a really bad intentioned stat you gave us right there, Williams. You're trying to trash on Carolina by giving us this stat when they didn't have a marquee quarterback like they have now. I'm sitting here and I'm going to say it right now. Carolina has just as much chance to win this division as any other
Yes,
team here.
yes, 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 we can. Yes, we can.
they have just as good a chance to finish second in this division out of anybody. I will agree with that, but not to win.
Listen, Williams, you go ahead and back the friggin' Dirty Birds all you want, okay? You and Arthur
Yeah.
Blank can wear your Home Depot
Yeah.
orange vest all you want. I'm a Carolina Panthers supporter.
Yeah, you apparently have this accurate but old and injury prone quarterback backed up by an accurate but older, young, injury prone quarterback. So good luck.
I will tell you one good thing for Carolina. They go from spending bottom 10 on the O line to the very most on the O line. So,
And the very most on head coaches, I would imagine. I would imagine that David Tepper is paying more for head coaches than any other owner in the NFL.
I think the Raiders may have something to say to you.
You're right about that. You're right. John Gruden's probably still getting paid. So, yeah, you're right. All right, fine. Listen, the NFC South. Let's wash that taste out of our mouth. Let's get some scope. Let's get some Listerine, whatever your preferred mouth astringent is. I'm not trying to tell you what to do. This is America. It's a free country. But I am telling you, we're moving on to the NFC West, and that contains a certain team and a certain coach that our guy, Josh Williams, loves with all of his heart and soul. So I'll be interested to hear the takes on that team, but they'll be saved for last. Let's go up to Seattle, Williams. I talked about the new coach bump with Carolina. Seattle might have actually gotten the best head coach of the offseason. Do you believe this is the team that will have the new coach bump?
yeah, I think Mike McDonald is awesome. I think he's going to be one of the next best coaches in the next couple of years. I think he's going to turn around that defense. Um, they drafted rookie defensive tackle Byron Murphy from Texas. Should be a great compliment to Leonard Williams. The Seahawks had the 28th ranked overall defense last year. When Mike McDonald took over the Ravens D in his first year, there he was inheriting the 28th best defense. The next year in Baltimore, that D was 8th, and the following year after that, the Ravens were number 1 defense in the league. He's going to get that D line playing at a top level with his schemes and his overall intelligence on the defensive side of the ball. And Weatherspoon and Woolen are two fantastic cornerbacks that nobody really knows about either out there in Seattle. So this is going to be a very physical defense. They have been tackling to the ground since day one in training camp. You don't see that very often anymore. And you could tell in the preseason games, this defense is nasty already. So he likes to run a lot of pre-snap scheme coverages. He really doesn't blitz as often as you think. He's more about like creating confusion pre-snap and right at the snap than anything else. So the major question with the Seattle Seahawks is the offensive line. I mean, they allowed the 4th highest pressure rate last year. But believe it or not, Geno had the 4th highest completion percentage over expectation on throws over 20 yards. Geno actually throws like a pretty accurate deep ball. And Ryan Grubb comes in from Washington, the Washington Huskies. He brings over his O-line coach as well, very highly regarded. But can he transition that into the pro game is the question.
Do you believe that the Seattle Seahawks will provide the most robust opposition to your San Francisco 49ers in this division, or do you think it'll be somebody else?
Yeah, that's what I can't figure out. Like, I have a pretty hard stance on like a pretty opinionated stance on like every division, like who's going to win every division, who's going to come in second, third, fourth. I can't figure out this NFC West, man. Like I honestly think that any of these 4 teams could win this division.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was about to bring up that the Arizona Cardinals actually kind of the arrow is pointing up for them, right? Like they're kind of the team that like nobody really thinks about that much. Kyler Murray. Yeah, it is his name, Kyler Murray. He's coming back off of a injury. That head coach sort of kind of like saved the team a little bit last year. Like it kind of seemed like he was in over his head, and then by the end of the year, they were actually kind of playing good football. So like the hipster team is the Arizona Cardinals. Williams, how much do you buy into the hipster team, Arizona Cardinals?
Yeah, see Chris shaking his head over there. He's a non-believer, but I mean, without Kyler last year, he was hurt for a lot of the year. They ranked 27th in drive and distance, and last year their D ranked 30th in health, including the most injured D line in the league. Thus, the D was not good versus the run last year. That was a shocker. But when Kyler came back in Week 10, this offense was very, very good. They gave the Texans, Rams, Niners, Eagles, Steelers, and Seahawks all they could handle, winning half of those games. This team was decimated by injuries last year. Fifth most lost games from your starting quarterback, third most injured tight end room, seventh most injured linebacker room. I mean, and now they draft Marvin Harrison, who is maybe the most polished wide receiver coming into the draft since possibly his dad came in 1996. So, I mean, he put up over 1,200 yards in 2022 and 2023 at Ohio State, and scored 14 touchdowns and 15 touchdowns back-to-back years there. So add him with Trey McBride. And Trey McBride, if you weren't paying attention to fantasy last year, this dude was a monster the second half of the year at tight end. So they still have a decent running back room.
Tight end is back in fantasy this year, I'm hearing, right? Tight end is back in fantasy this year.
Yeah, let's do it.
We got Laporta, we got McBride,
this,
right? We still got Kelsey. You know what I mean? We got some guys out there. You told everybody Pitt should be good.
Kittle.
Yeah, this offense is going to put up some points. It's just whether or not the defense can stop them. And Jonathan Gannon is supposed to be a defensive coach, so you get some positive regression on the injury luck side. Like this Arizona team, there's no reason they can't be right in the thick of things.
Chris, I haven't cared about the Arizona Cardinals since Bruce Arians was their head coach. What thoughts do you have about the Arizona Cardinals?
So you have their coach coming out saying he believes in Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray's doing everything he's being asked of right now. He's making all the right decisions. He's doing all the right things, being a leader on and off the field. A couple things that have me concerned. Their schedule isn't that easy. They have to play the AFC East this year. That's going to be tough. They open the season at Buffalo. Then they get the Rams. Then they have to play Detroit. Then you might consider the Commandos a week off. You got the 49ers after that, the Packers who are improved after that, the Chargers there, and then October 27th you have at Miami, and that's where I want you guys to pay attention the most at, all right, is how Kyler Murray plays in that Miami game, because those first 7 games before that is all before October 25th. October 25th is a Call of Duty Black Ops 6 release date, and we know what happens to Kyler Murray when Black Ops Call of Duty comes out. I'm telling you, after October 25th, you will see a different Kyler Murray, and you will see Arizona fall.
Oh, there you go, folks. I told you at the beginning of the podcast, Chris will give you some takes that you do not get elsewhere, and you just got one right there. Arizona's in trouble because of the new Call of Duty Black Ops. Williams, I kind of feel dirty about doing the Rams without Jimmy here because we all know that our guy Jimmy loves the Rams, but let's do a few thoughts on the Rams here before we get to your team of heart.
Yeah, they worked on solidifying the interior O-line. Stafford should feel more comfortable stepping up in the pocket. He could possibly be up there leading the league in passing yards because this D is probably going to take a step back without Aaron Donald. And remember, when McVay is in negative game script, he is incredibly aggressive and up tempo. He likes to stay in 3 wide receiver sets with no substitutions. He does this so the opposing defense can't make substitutions. This is why for those 3 or 4 years, why Todd Gurley would have a ton of touchdowns year after year, because the opposing Ds couldn't substitute. They'd have one less linebacker on the field inside the 5-yard line. So you could see that also with the Falcons this year.
Stop
with
it.
their
Stop
with
it.
their
Stop
offensive
trying to tell people
coordinator
the Falcons
coming
are real.
over
Stop it.
from the Rams.
Stop
And
it.
who is physically
Listen,
agile,
I don't
just
often
like Gurley.
tell.
I
He
like
has
Bijan
he has
Robinson.
done nothing but talk about coaches that have come from either San Francisco or the Rams
Because
tonight.
half the league is that way.
Then that's fine. But what I don't want people to do, okay? What I don't want people to do is jump on board this Atlanta Falcons team that has been a sorry second account, no decent franchise for years, okay? For years. And then you got these players that sure have a high pedigree, but they have zero track record. And Williams is just 100% buying in. He's in his bunker. He's getting these PFF numbers, and they're all just blinging off the page about the Falcons. Whoa, look at the talent. Look at this. Look at Zach Robinson. Look at
I
Arthur
think
Smith being a complete Neanderthal. And I just don't want our listeners to be sad like Williams is when he realizes that he was dead wrong for telling people to believe in the Falcons.
I really think Williams has like stock in whatever food service company it works inside the stadium because he's pumping up the $20 deal. He's saying Atlanta's going to be good. He's trying to put butts in the seats. I think he's got stocks up in there.
Nobody ever asked anybody to double back to Atlanta, and Williams just did it. That's how much he loves the Falcons.
I'm just saying, there's comps to Todd Gurley and Bijan Robinson fantasy.
No, there's
fantasy
not.
players out there.
No, there's not. Todd Gurley has a track record of success in the NFL. Bijan Robinson does not.
That's why you have me here, Rod, for the aggressive takes.
No,
The futures
you're not
market.
aggressive. You're
The
not
futures
aggressive.
market.
You
I
are
can see the
reasoned.
future.
You are intelligent. You are looking at things. I'm just flying off the hip. Chris is bringing up Call of Duty Black Ops. That's what people come to us for. You're the reasoned one.
All right, getting back to the Rams here. They add Jonah Jackson, left guard from the Lions. Steve Avila is a huge center, and like I said, the Rams they solidify the interior offensive line. They have the heaviest interior line of any team in the league. You guys remember the old Arby's commercial? Where's the beef? I think we
Where's
found
the
it.
beef?
It's on the Rams interior offensive line.
See,
So
I hate this. I hate this. I'm about to keep Puka Nakua as my second keeper in a fantasy draft, and you're sitting here telling me that the Rams are going to be running Kyron Williams and Blake Corum all year. I don't like this.
they're going to be behind a lot too. So I mean, there's enough for Puka to go around. This
See,
Rams offense is going to be good.
I'm so scared of Puka Nakua. Like, I'm so disappointed that he has to be my second keeper, but we'll get into that when we talk more fantasy. Chris, I've been giving Williams an awful lot of guff tonight, but is there anything that Williams loves more than Kyle Shanahan and the San Francisco 49ers?
No, I don't think so. I think it's more Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers are benefiting that's who he coaches for because he tends to also really enjoy all the teams that coaching tree has delved out into. Anytime that someone has came from Shanahan's sphere, even if it was for a year, becomes almost sainted by Williams.
Right. It's kind of like that old Tom Brenneman line. If you have ever met Tim Tebow, your life is better for it, right? And that's what Williams basically applies to Kyle Shanahan syndrome to. If you've ever met Kyle Shanahan, had dinner with him, shook his hand, saw a football text that he was reading at the same time in the same room, you have
Yelled
somehow
across
through
the airport
osmosis-
at him.
Yeah, exactly. You have somehow through osmosis become a great football coach. So Williams, tell us about the 49ers, because here's where I will start real quickly. I love to give you a little bit of my shade when I throw the question to you, okay? We're talking about a team who will have to overcome a horrible, brutal Super Bowl hangover. Once again, not the first time in the last few years they've had to overcome a Super Bowl hangover. What say you about San Francisco?
Yeah, and this is the ultimate circle back. Remember from like 2 weeks ago where I was talking about net rest disadvantage and how I said the second and third worst teams were the Chargers and the Colts, and that the NFL was absolutely hosing them. Get ready for this. This is absolutely ridiculous what the NFL has done to Kyle Shanahan and the San Francisco 49ers this year. The largest net rest disadvantage over the last decade is this 49ers team with a negative 21 rest day disadvantage, sixth largest since 1990. I'm not done yet. The Niners have 8 games where they have a rest disadvantage. Most of any team in NFL history. I'm not done yet. Last year, when the Niners had a 2-day rest deficit or more, they were 0-3 against the spread, and they missed the cover on those games by a combined 32.5 points. I'm not done yet. From week 7 on, the Niners play 6 of their 11 remaining games at a rest disadvantage. Since Warren Sharp's database started tracking this info in 1990, no team has ever had a worse rest disadvantage from week 7 on than the Niners do in 2024. Not done yet. Niners play 4 teams this season where the other team is coming off a bye. Last thing, they play 3 short week road games, which is absolutely insane for any team, let alone a team on a coast. This is crazy. They had a terrible rest disadvantage last year and made it to the Super Bowl. I don't know if they can overcome the scheduling buffoons of the NFL this year.
Oh my goodness. I don't know if I've ever seen you pre-lay out an excuse map quite like you just did for the San Francisco 49ers, my friend. I mean, like, listen, you can say that this is your rest disadvantage stat that you want to drive home to the listeners. And I appreciate that, and they appreciate that. But Chris and I can see through bullshit. And all you just did right there was make excuse after excuse after excuse for your beloved burgundy and maroon San Francisco 49ers. Chris, your retort.
You're not wrong, Rod and Williams. It's about time that these 49ers and these fans of the 49ers get a dose of reality and enjoy the mediocrity that the rest of us NFL fans have to deal with on a semi-annual basis. All right. Yeah, we get some years of greatness shown upon us, but the 49ers seem to be able to continue to win decade after decade after decade after decade, and I am sick of it, and I'm ready for them to get a dose of reality. If they're so good and they got the greatest coach and they have all this talent, then they don't need the rest.
Hell yeah, that is a great take right there. Williams, I probably should ask you this question about the 49ers because it has sort of dominated the offseason. Do we, at this point, believe Brandon Ayuk is going to play all games for the 49ers this year? Like, we're not going to see a trade now at this point. He's just going to play out the last year of the contract. Is that where we're at?
Well, I mean, he had no leverage to begin with. They could have just brought him back and then franchised him or transition tagged him the following year. So it's like, and then he already turned down a bunch of money to go to the Patriots and Cleveland. And then I think he saw what Arthur Smith was doing in Pittsburgh, and he was like, no, I changed my mind. I don't want to go to Pittsburgh either. And so like he's totally dropped this whole thing here. He should just come back to San Fran. San Fran has a window to win the Super Bowl this year, maybe next. But I mean, you're going to have to start paying Purdy pretty soon. So, and these guys are getting up there in age, man. They've had 2 Super Bowl appearances in the last 4 years. You said it earlier, Rod. It's tough. The Super Bowl hangover is a real thing to the losing team, and the net rest disadvantage. You guys can joke about it all you want. That is huge, and they've done it. They did it last year too.
We're not joking. We understand. We believe. Listen,
I meant every word I said.
Well, of course, Chris always does. Chris doesn't blow smoke up anybody's ass. But occasionally as the host, right, you got to kind of move things along, and every once in a while you just got to you got to fan the flames a little bit. But listen, I think it's great. I told the listeners at the beginning of this episode, you have your research. You know what you're talking about, and you proved it right there, okay? You're not going to get those facts and figures delivered quite as vociferously as you did on this podcast, and I appreciate that. But what I also realized is that I did not make either of you gentlemen pick our first division, the NFC South, and we definitely hasn't picked the NFC West. So let's double back here. I will do the double back, not you, Williams. Thank you. Chris, I believe that the Carolina Panthers will win the NFC South. Who do you have?
All right, so I think this is a complete toss-up of a division. I am going to roll a 4-sided die because I am a nerd and like Dungeons and Dragons, and it is a 3, which is the Carolina Panthers as well.
Hell yeah, Williams. Us two have Carolina. We're giving Jimmy Carolina just because he's not here to defend himself, so he's on the Carolina train with us.
Don't do that
Williams,
to Jimmy.
Who do you got? No, I'm doing it to him.
Don't do that to Jimmy.
Listen, who else would he pick? He'd pick the Bucks or something. I did him a favor by putting him on this Carolina train.
you guys are way underselling this Atlanta Falcons team.
Nope.
I don't care that they don't know how to run their quarterback room.
Williams, listen, let's do a wager right now. Let's do a wager right now. Not money, not like dinner or something that like the listeners can't get. Let's do a wager right now between you and I. I think there is zero chance the Falcons win more than 8 games. Zero chance. I will give you Falcons over under 8. Williams, do you want to take a bet with me?
No, for sure. For sure.
So you think the Falcons are over 8? If the
Yeah.
Falcons do not
Ooh.
win more than 8 games, Williams, what will you do for the listeners?
Ooh, loser buys the winner the best local jerky they can get.
Jerky. Nice. Williams, how about this? This is actually more fun. All right. This is more fun. If you are correct and the Falcons win more than 8 games, I will show up at one of your early morning workout sessions and do my best to do every single thing that you do at one of your early morning workout sessions. Williams, what do you think of that?
Mine's usually afternoon, but whatever, man. That's fine. Yeah.
All right, listen, I'm getting off at 2:30
You
now.
may
Let's
want to
do
keep
your
like
job.
a syringe full of like adrenaline or something, just in case you need that to get Rod back revived.
The Baja Mountain Dew, just inject it straight into his veins.
Yes, exactly.
Get at me, Mountain Dew, right here by my side at all times. Baja Blast. We love the Mountain Dew here on the podcast. So, Williams, I take it you like that. What can you offer me as the other side of our bet if I am correct and the Falcons do, in fact, end up below mediocre?
Man, I have no idea. No idea. What do we got here?
Here's what we have. Here's what we have.
figure out
You will have to show up and do an entire episode of Yeah We Know in the Ring with Jimmy, Rod, and Chris, the wrestling podcast, one week. That's what you will have.
Yeah, you'll have to watch Raw and SmackDown
All
before we tape, and you'll have to give us your hot takes.
Yeah, let's go.
There we go, Chris. We have a good bet for the listeners.
That's
You think
awesome.
This is entertaining, right?
Oh yeah, this is great. I listen right now. I don't care what the listeners think. This is entertaining for me.
There we go. Speaking of entertaining for you, Chris, who do you have winning the NFC West?
I'm going to go with the Rams. I think it's really down between the Rams and the 49ers really in this, and I see the Seahawks playing the spoiler, whoever they have more success against, and I see that they have more success against San Francisco than LA. So give me the Rams.
Give me Seattle. Chris alluded to it a little bit there that he thinks Seattle could be spoiler. Give me Seattle. I believe in the Super Bowl hangover for the 49ers. I also still sort of believe that maybe Brock Purdy is a bit of a mirage. So I don't believe in the 49ers. I got the Seahawks. New coach bounce. Williams.
Okay, so I kind of went chalk mostly everywhere. I took the Jets in the AFC East. I took Houston, AFC North. Or no, AFC South. Took KC in the West. I did go contrarian, went with Cleveland in
Horrible
the AFC
pick.
North. And
Yes.
then NFC is pretty chalky. Went Philly, Detroit, Atlanta. So we know that there's always a team every year for like the past like 24 years that has
Look
went
out.
worst to first.
Look out.
I'm doing it. I think this division is insane. I think this division gets crazy. I'm going with the Arizona Cardinals
Wow.
barely squeaking out this division. And this is totally against like all the experts, even like the people that I follow. So this is like way, way out there. I'm going to go with Arizona, and Chris hates it because
You talk
Chris,
about-
this is easily-
you
this is
talk
easily
about-
the hottest take Williams has taken. This is easily the hottest take Williams has ever had for
This
division.
is right up there with the Browns, if you ask me. So like that may be neck and neck to me. But like
this is way crazier than
But
Browns.
like you talk about how strength of schedule means so much, and the stat schedule of Arizona is not easy. It is tough, beginning to end. I have a real problem with them getting to 10 wins, let alone winning this division.
Guess what, though? Their schedule doesn't suck if the 49ers aren't any good.
Look, and I think
Still got the
all
Rams
four-
and the Seahawks.
Yeah, I think
True.
all 4 of these teams could be between like 10 and 7 wins. So I think that's like how close it is with everybody in this division. So I'll say this. I'll say whoever wins the NFC West is going to be the 4 seed in the NFC. That's what I think. That's even more of a hot take, Rod. I think Atlanta is going to have a better record than San Fran.
This Atlanta propaganda is just absolutely under. I don't understand. Are you eating peaches? Like, are you somehow being paid by the good peach
Did
corporation?
you buy a
We get the
peanut farm down there or something
Yeah,
like?
we get the bad
understand.
coaches out, good coaches in. That's those are the teams I like. Bad
Are like,
coaches
is
out,
Home Depot a
good
big
coaches in.
sponsor of like poker tournaments around the country? Like, what is happening
I mean,
here?
you don't like McCarthy, but he does nothing but win 12 games every year. So, like, I don't get that either.
Not this year, they're not.
Look out! Look out! All right, that we did our best without James Thomas Jamriska. We had an awful lot of fun. We have a bet on the books. Chris, remind the listeners of what the bet is that we have on the books.
So, Rod does not have any faith in Atlanta. He doesn't think they're going to get more than 8 wins. Williams took him up on that bet. Rod will have to work out with Williams if he loses. And for those who don't know, that's never happened in the history of my knowing Rod, and I am old.
That's
Uh,
right.
if Williams loses, he has to spend 5 hours of watching wrestling and joining us on the Yeah We Know podcast.
This is phenomenal. Williams, what do you think about the fact that we have this bet now going forward for the season? Are you scared? Are you like, you're not even worried? Like, where are you at?
Dude, let's go. Kirk Cousins, accuracy stats incoming this year
He's
for the
old.
man. Oh man, get you some. You know how I said on the last podcast, if you're in fantasy, you want to try and get a piece of the Detroit Lions offense. That's how I feel about the Atlanta Falcons. You
This
could
is
just
crazy.
try to get any piece. Cousins, Bijan Robinson, Drake London, Kyle Pitts, anybody, even Darnell Mooney, the old Bears wide receiver.
This is
Sit-
crazy. This is insane. Listen, when you bring up Darnell Mooney, it's time to end the podcast. All right. Listen, we had some hot takes this week. Just get ready for next week where we have our bold predictions podcast. And where Chris, we have frankly one of our new favorite things here on the podcast. We did it on the NBA side. We're going to do it on the NFL side. Tell the listeners what we're doing next week.
I'm drawing a blank, Rod.
It's a
the
wins
draft.
draft. We're doing the wins draft.
Oh, we are doing the wins draft. Boy, I need a day off of work. That's what I need.
That's all right. But we will all draft teams, right? And then throughout the year, we will keep a spreadsheet updated of whichever group of teams wins the most regular season games will be the champion. So, Williams, I hope to beat you in that. I hope to beat you in this Falcons bet. I hope to continue to beat you senseless for every crazy thing you say when you come on the podcast. Like, is there anything else that I should say I want to beat you at?
We know he's going to lose because he's going to draft Arizona and Cleveland, and that's not going to work out. And then it's going to be Atlanta. Those are his first 3 teams.
No, here's what he's going
I
to do. He's going to come on here
He's
and
gonna-
say that he thinks the 49ers are going to have a down year, and then he's still going to draft them. And then the 49ers are going to be good, and he's still going to win the wins draft. That's what's going to happen. He's going to cover himself on both sides.
Yeah, it's part of the okey doke. Yeah.
always hedging his bets.
Listen, Williams, that's the part of the reason we can't talk a lot of fantasy on this podcast, folks, is because Williams won't give anything away to the dudes who listen to this podcast that are in his fantasy league. So that's why he doesn't give any.
I threw a bunch of fantasy stuff out there this year. So yeah, we'll do the
Threw-
draft. We'll do the draft first, and then like bold takes after that.
Yep, it's going to be a great pod next week. NFL is just around the corner. Hopefully, our guy, James Thomas Jamriska, his immune system will fight back against the evil viruses in his body, and he will join us again next week. Thank you to Jimmy for producing this podcast. Thank you to Chris, as always, for the entertainment and the vigor and vig that he brings to the podcast. And Williams, you do not have the final word, but I want to say thank you to you. Chris has the final word. I almost was throwing it to you for the final word, like we've never done this before.
I didn't even know Daryl Mooney was in the NFL or who he was. Goodbye, Internet.